Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? And we're going to be talking about a subject matter which is really important and it needs to be talked about because, well, out of embarrassment or any other lack of not knowing, nobody has really talked about this subject in the Skullgirls community, or I guess in any fighting game community that for matter, or at least to my knowledge. And it really is an important subject because it's a subject that affects Skullgirls. Whether it be good or bad is up to the decision of the people, but that's what we're going to be discussing here, and I hope that you enjoy discussing it in an adult manner. So let's go jumping right on in. We're going to talk about Rule 34's effect on Skullgirls. Now, you might not know what Rule 34 means. It's a rule of the internet that there will be adult material or content or pictures or videos or whatever made for any subject onto the internet. And this is seemingly true for a lot of content, and Skullgirls is not one of the things that isn't, accepted from that. There is a good amount of Rule 34 content for Skullgirls, but the real big thing is we need to talk about this. I mean, we need to talk about its, effect on Skullgirls and its community. Now, let's just jump right on in. I would like to talk about, one of the big, things that might have been a huge thing that could have brung in more people into the Skullgirls community or brung out the Skullgirls name to a lot of more people. And one of those examples was when Zontan, which is one of the biggest and well-known online adult cartoon producers, made a Skullgirls Filia flash game that, in my opinion, has helped out the Skullgirls community as promoting it to more people that might not even know. They could be just, Zontan fans and stuff, which Zontan has a lot of fans and all that stuff, and it really did help the Skullgirls community grow, and then Zontan also helps with Lab Zero as well. There was also news articles about Zontan being hired at Lab Zero, which actually, when those news articles came out, this is when the bad influence comes in. When those news articles came out, people were putting that news in a bad light. They were saying, "Oh, hey guys, look at Skullgirls. The art for Skullgirls is already a little bit risque for some people." So then they go "Oh, well, now they're hiring adult content producers." Well, obviously Skullgirls is just made for those fans and not real fighting game fans. People that like Street Fighter, where basically they just use the base. They have just a base woman model, and then they just plaster on everybody else, just like they did with Decapitator and Cammy. But, going away from that subject, going away from Street Fighter 4's cloning subject, with all of its clones and palette swap characters, but let's go into some other things with Rule 34's effect on Skullgirls. Now, I really feel like the effect on Skullgirls isn't that much. It isn't that much in the bad example, unless if people want it to be. Unless if somebody tries to shed Skullgirls in a negative light, going "Oh my goodness, look how much blah blah blah," or "Hey, this fan of Skullgirls makes, adults content for, of Skullgirls pictures." Obviously, that's what all the fans do. That's only when people want to make a bad name for Skullgirls. Overall, I feel like Rule 34, just like a lot of fan art would, and I feel like it helps, Skullgirls. I feel like it helps get the idea and get the Skullgirls brand name out to more people that might not even know the game. They could be seeing a picture of, Filia or something like that and go "Huh, I wonder what this is from. I'll look it up," and then they could be a potential, community member or person that buys the game. That could be how, just like fan art, just like all fan content, Rule 34 is helping Skullgirls. So, I really feel like Rule 34 only harms Skullgirls when people want it to. When people want to shed it into a bad light. That's the only time when I feel like it harms it. Just like when people go to a Sonic fan art, and I think we all know about the Sonic fan art. In some cases, they can go "Look at this. This is what all Sonic fans are," and it isn't like that. It gets the message out fan art, no matter how bad, no matter how good, gets the message out, and it promotes the subject. Even if it's trying to make fun of it, it still promotes the subject, because any publicity is good publicity. And that's why, just like fan art, Rule 34 doesn't affect Skullgirls in a bad light, and only helps it unless somebody tries their hardest to make it bad. Now that's my opinion on this, because it's really the only way that people are not going to like, Skullgirls for its fan art or anything like that. It really comes down to Skullgirls' art direction, and let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, Skullgirls' art direction is a love it or hate it. There are, a ton of fan service, shots and stuff like that. Some things you'll need to pause, some things that you don't really need to. I mean, like Cerebella's jumping heavy kick and her crouching medium kick, you could see her underwear. There's a bunch of fan service shots, and that's a part of the art style and the art direction that it goes into, and it's really, you're fine with it, you love it, or you hate it. It's really that kind of thing. You just can't be in the middle ground, really. Because it's so prevalent in Skullgirls. The art direction is so prevalent because it's just a beautiful game, hand-drawn and all that stuff. It looks amazing, but it is a love it or hate it kind of deal. And that's where people draw their lines, and that's where people get their opinions of Skullgirls, being, a game for Rule 34 fans, or being a game for otakus or something like that. That is when people take their lines, is that if they hate the art direction or they like it. Because honestly, I don't feel like there's too many people that play Skullgirls, love the game, but hate the art direction, because it is so prevalent. You just can't escape the art. And that's when people take it to a different extreme of, hating on Skullgirls, or loving Skullgirls to a point to make, content for Skullgirls and stuff. And that's why there's such a difference, a stark contrast in between people's opinions with Skullgirls. Some people calling it a game for otakus, or a game for only fans of Rule 34, just because of its art direction. That's the reason why there's such a bias against Skullgirls in the fighting game community when it comes to the art direction. And since the art direction is so far prevalent, it goes into the whole game, and then there's just a bias on Skullgirls in general. Skullgirls, it's no secret, hasn't really been taken as a serious fighter for a while, and there's a bunch of factors that goes into it, but one of the big things is the art style being a love it or hate it. There's no genericness of it, and I know that generic is bad, but having a generic, just something that you can plaster on yourself, just something very generic, something very, you've seen it 1,000 times before, that's easier to get used to than something that's brand new and something that has a stark contrast to anything else on there. Something new is something that people don't like, but it also can bring in a lot more people that do like it and forge something newer. And that's why the Skullgirls community is such a tightly knit, bond, because it really just takes the people that actually like the game to actually play the game. And that's why it's just a very tight-knit bond in the Skullgirls community. And that's why in the Skullgirls community, unlike any other fighter, you can find the most helpful and friendly people, because without that, the Skullgirls community would have been dead a long, long time ago. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my opinion on how Rule 34 affects Skullgirls. And I know that we went into a bunch of other subjects there, but it all stemmed from that a very, very important question that needed to be asked. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you did like this video, please consider subscribing. It not only helps me, but it helps the whole entire Skullgirls community grow as a whole, which it really needs to. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter, where I actually say whenever I'm recording, so you can get into this recording for the videos whenever I am. Or I will be asking questions on what kind of subjects I should be streaming about, or what new topics for videos should I do. Very important stuff. And you could be a part of that as well. You can also tell me characters that you want me to play, or stages that you want me to play as, or themes, ideas, in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love doing it as well. And here's a little test for you. Can you guess what the theme of the stages and characters were in this video? So, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.